What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa. So I want to share some some experiences, some interviews with people here in South Africa. And let me give shout outs to those who are coming in before I give disclaimers and give really get into this whole thing because I find quite interesting that South Africa has some things I believe each and every one of you all need to know about that you haven't heard of, but you might see that there is this interest of South Africa by us YouTubers who are, bringing in the footage and we are sharing information. And I would just like to pride myself on at least giving a different side of the story that most people are sharing when they go to Africa. We have our goods, our bads, our indifferences, and sometimes it just seems as though that we want to just be positive when I believe all information can be positive if done in a respectful and lightful way, but also giving people the truth of the matter of what's really going on in an area, in a country, in a city. We know we can't speak of Africa as a whole because Africa in itself is a continent, 54 countries. And even if we know that we talk about a country, that one city may be a little different than another and may have different cultures, may different vibes, may have different traditions, different languages, and all these different things. Being that Africa has so many languages, tribes, and everything else, we find that. So I'm saying, brothers and sisters, that, I found some things that were quite interesting. Discrimination that explained to me, even that I've experienced since I've been here. But let me get into just giving some shout outs real quick because I want to wait till more people come in and that we're able to be able to have a conversation. I hope that those who are South African can call in when I'm putting the link in right now for those who are South African, those who are living in South Africa. I'm gonna say those who are living in South Africa. Please call in. The reason why I'm saying those who live in South Africa, because there are those who may have be from South Africa that left years ago, that those who, oops, what did I just do? Hold on a second. What did I just do? I just did the wrong thing. I just put copy in there. Those who might have been gone for so long, who haven't been here during the 28 years of independence, 28 years or so independence, or those who may not be here right now, who's got the pulse, the breath, the heartbeat of Africa that have been in Western worlds for quite a bit, that you know sometimes you might be out of touch. I don't know, but I mean I can leave it open to those who come back and forth often, who may have family members that are still here. I want to open the doors up to you all. So please, if you're from South Africa and you are actively involved in living or you come often to visit and you are South African, please by all means use the link that I just put in and we can call in and we can hear from you before I give my experience and those who on the ground who share with me. I got an audio too as well from the youth young man. I think he's 23 or 5 or something he told me. But we're going to go ahead and get into some things. So look, we got a side coming up in here right now. Look, I said South Africans. South Africans.
My
I
bad,
said
brother.
South
My bad.
Africans.
I'm feeling South African. I'm about to be
Yeah.
there. How you
I
doing,
know
brother?
you got your visa about to move here and everything, but what's good with you, brother?
Man, I first of all, brother, let me say, peace and blessings to you, brother. Your name came up on our live today, uh,
Yeah.
and uh, and I tried to be as diplomatic as possible. I didn't because there, I didn't want to critique you for having a perspective, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but I just wanted to offer my perspective, and so I if you ever see the live, I made sure I was very diplomatic or whatever have you, because what I don't ever want to do is create dissension between black folk, period, right?
Of course not. Of
South
course not.
African Americans or black folk on black folk. That's just not my
Yeah. Yeah.
MO. So, but I hope you are enjoying your time in South Africa. I know that I've seen,
Oh yeah,
I'm
I am.
Yeah. So I know you want to show a different side of South Africa, and I think that was part of the conversation that came up was, you know, and there are people who are showing completely positive, rosy pictures of South Africa, and then there's, you know, I guess maybe the other side of it, and we have to understand that dichotomies and dualities exist in every place. And I think
Of
my
course.
argument was that if you come to New Orleans, right now I'm in San Antonio, but if you came to New Orleans, I can take you in 1 week and give you an experience that is vastly different than I can give you the next week. I can take you to, you know, the St. Charles Avenue and the Garden District and State Street and all of these very nice places. You'll be like, oh man, Orleans is great. Then I can take you to the areas that I actually live, like in the 7th Ward and 9th Ward, New Orleans East, and you'll be like, oh, this is a totally different experience. For me, I personally seek out, if I go to Atlanta, right? If I go to Atlanta, I'm not going to the hood. I live in the hood. I don't want to see no hood. How
Yeah.
about that? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. I was a
Yeah.
little
So,
different, wherever I go, I touch different places. I like to touch the places where affluent or the money, those
mhm.
who have, and then I also like to touch areas of those who may have a little to nothing. And that gives because for me, my channel, people always ask me, show us where the rich and famous, show us the big mansions, show us how many of us are coming to Africa to live in these areas. I try to at least show something where if we're coming to live or even visit, if it's visit, it's totally different because I want to try to show as much as possible. But for those who are living in some of these countries, whether I've been in Gambia, whether I've been in Ghana, that okay, let me give you all a feel of where those who may have a little to those who may have a lot. Let me show you some areas so that you can get a feel. Some of the rents that cost, maybe be on the low end, the high end, and all that. But
Yeah.
by all means, you can't find anywhere on my videos I've done blasting our people. There's no way
Yeah.
I'm going to blast our people. It's just not because my thing is right, and I know there are people who take to heart their loyalty to their country, and it's like I keep telling people, I'm not blasting you as a people. Sometimes, I might blast your system, and that blasting the system means is to share those things that typically I'm told or that I see for myself in my own experience and I share it, but never against the people, man. Africa's all beautiful. All the people beautiful, man, of our brothers and sisters.
Absolutely. I'd say
Yeah.
that I've never met a more warm and welcoming people than the South African people. But and obviously you've been many more places in Africa than I have, but I've been a few places. But I'll say that I think one of the reasons why we see some YouTubers and bloggers and stuff paint a positive picture of Africa, because as African Americans, our entire existence, we have seen negative aspects of Africa. We've seen everything bad about it, whether it be South Africa, West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, whatever have you. We've always seen poverty. We grew up. If you grew up in the 80s, you remember the Ethiopian famine and the flies and the swollen bellies, and that has
Sally
shaped our
Struthers,
perspective. Sally Struthers, right? Pick that baby up. Sally Struthers walking with the babies. Look at all this broken glass. Man, pick that baby up. But
yeah.
with that being said, that has shaped our perception of Africa. So when you
Mhm.
have YouTubers who are saying, wait a minute, let me show you Victoria Island in Nigeria. Let me show you Stanton, or let me show you these beautiful parts of Kenya where there's modernity and modern infrastructure and all of the amenities that you would see in the West. Because there are many people. I don't want to hog your life. In 2009, when I was going to Tanzania, right? My wife was over there doing some HIV/AIDS research with her graduate program. When I was telling friends who had graduate degrees, right? Black folk in the United States who had graduate degrees, who graduated from private Black institutions and went on to PWI institutions that we would consider phenomenal, right? Some Ivy League. I said, man, I'm going to Tanzania. Negroes asked me, well, where you going to use the bathroom? Like they didn't have running water. Well, are you
Mhm.
going to eat monkey meat? Right?
Mhm.
These type of
Mhm.
questions. So it is not just like limited to those of us who don't have access, who don't have education, who don't have the knowledge. This negative perception of Africa, the continent, has been deeply embedded into the minds of African Americans. So it was refreshing. It becomes refreshing and paradigm shifting when you see a different presentation of Africa instead of the Sally Struthers, poor people, or the quote unquote jungle and safari. So that's why I think it is important to have those dualities, to have that dichotomy, to show really to push back against the white supremacist narrative, because you can also go when they talk about Europe, they don't show you those people starving in Eastern Europe, right?
And there's a lot of poor of them over there.
A lot of poor people in Europe. When they talk about America, they don't show you the ghettos and the hoods, or they don't show you the people in Appalachia, right? The rednecks out there who are poor in poverty, or Mississippi. They paint the most rosiest picture of a nation, and I think that we have to be. We have to have those voices and those eyes and those perceptions to push back against the white supremacist narrative that Africa is a shit whole country, as Donald Trump. He a doctor or something, but he ain't no doctor. But to push back against those type of narratives. So and that's what I see. Number one, I just fell in love with SA. Let me just be frank. I come from a city where poverty is real. So like going to SA and seeing, I've been to the townships. I've been to Alexander Township, Soweto. I've been to El Dorado, which is the colored area town in Johannesburg. I've been to Hillsborough, which is like going to Cabrini Green, Chicago, 1991, right? I've been to those areas, but those areas, and I love everyday people, but those areas are not any different than areas that I can show you right now, right today in New Orleans, in Atlanta, in Houston. I can bring you to neighborhoods that look like that. For me, when I go to SA, and again, I'm leaving on the 28th. Hopefully we'll link up, brother. I go to SA and I see the beauty in the people and the culture, the warmth, the love. And then I do see that modernity is there, that infrastructure is there, that for the last 30 years, this has been a Black-led country with all of its ups and downs, all of its peaks and valleys. It is a Black-led country, of world-class, first-class nation on the face of the earth. And as they move, their democracy is in its infancy. It is not a 200-year-old, 250-year-old democracy like we have in the United States, and we still haven't perfected it. Black folks are still disenfranchised. Women are still disenfranchised. Poor people are still disenfranchised. There's gerrymandering districts here in the United States. So as they move forward with their democracy, they will see, in my opinion, a vastly different SA. I'm sorry, I'm reading your comments.
Yeah, I wanted to put that up there. I apologize if I disrupted yours. I put that so I can hold on to it right there.
Oh, a dude named Listen. Okay, all right. But so yeah, I just think that is the reason why we see this positive perspective, brother. And I don't want to take up your time, man. Want to jump on? I'll be there on the 28th, and I definitely hope we can hook up and I can show you. I could ride you around and show you the beauty and the stuff that I like to see about SA from an outsider's perspective.
Oh yeah. I appreciate you, and family. Please go ahead to Assad and his wife YouTube channel. They are relocating to South Africa, and they got a beautiful story. The ups and downs of trying to get their visas intact, but they succeeded, and they moving on to a place that they find conducive for them, that is grander than America. And so my hat's off to them and wish them much success. So check them out on their YouTube channel. Y'all gonna continue your YouTube channel when you come here?
Say that one more time.
Are you going to continue your YouTube channel when y'all come here?
Definitely. We're going to try to show like the day-to-day life, getting children in school, what it's like going grocery shopping, just a different aspect of, not necessarily a luxury side, but we're talking about the everyday side. What does it like, raising a family or having children? Because many YouTubers I've seen one or two, but not a lot, who have school-age children. I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old. So stuff like that, man. So I appreciate you, brother. Go Black, and man, much love and much success.
Hey, man, same to you. All right, take care. All right. And our brother hit on those things there, and I'm going to get into this conversation, but he hits on some things that is like is right here. My intentions is never ever to badmouth, to browbeat, to put to shame our people. I guarantee you that is not my intention. You can't find a video that I go out searching for something that you all who watch these white YouTubers who will come there and go specifically to a place to show that it's supposed to be the poorest in the world, the most hungriest people. And these people get millions of views and they leave nothing behind. They don't help, they don't assist, they don't do anything. Now, I challenged someone on a video, and I don't know if they even watched my video, that if they wanted to challenge me to prove to me that they have been doing some things, that if they got footage in the background, that they've been volunteering, they've donated money to give to cause or to the people, to the schools, please by all means, because my videos, I have them on my channel to show I've given to the homeless, I've helped the orphanages, I've helped the homeless young men on the street, trying to get them in schools, giving money to people, giving people gold nuggets in order to be able to build their businesses. These are things that I try to capture, not as being braggadocious or patting myself on the back, but as a means of helping each other and for us to build together. I made a comment and I got some backlash from people when I had made mention that, something that is near and dear to me, of like when sometimes we who have financial means, those who might be of African descent, that we can, bring in, those, I hate to use the word servants, but helpers within the house. People might have maids, people might have lawn care men, and those who take care of their properties and all these things right there. And some people's like, man, it seems like, man, you kind of hating on people, man, who may be helping people get jobs. I'm like, no, not at all. I didn't say that I was against anybody. I said, for me, it's hard for me from where I come from, America, that even though I have the financial means to hire a housemaid, to have somebody cook and clean and do everything for me, I cannot see myself unless it is a means for me to see my people progress in that. For instance, I have had a woman who cleaned my house when I was in Tanzania. She did it 3 times and did a great job. And every time she came, I was giving her stuff to take back home to her family. But I dropped some nuggets in her lap. No different, I dropped nuggets in the brothers that y'all saw me interview the other day, lack of ideas of how you can take this and build your business. Because I don't want you being my servant. No, I want you, how's your business doing? Is this able to help you? And I hear the people say no, this and that, or whatever. Well, by me taking you on full time, all of you all, let me tell you this right here. Let's start your business now. How can you now build off of this thing? Why do you think I do sometimes YouTube's, my channels, that I will interview people and tell you to go buy their businesses? This is to promote and build. And I tell people how to save money, how to budget. I do that to even people there in America. But people were misunderstanding me. Some people misunderstanding want to think that I'm attacking their country. And I'm like, put away the side of attacking your country. Am I attacking the people? Because let me share this right here. I was very thankful to see this when I left Ghana. And I believe myself and others contributed to this. It's a little light. Let me see if I can. This right here is in the airport now of Ghana. I believe I played a powerful impact in this right here. Why? You know how many videos I've done on things that I thought that Ghana's airport was doing nothing but snatching and exploiting and extorting people for money? From the time you get in that airport, from the time I left, everybody from the immigration's office to the inspectors to the ones who's at the baggage to check your baggage, for all of that, from the front of getting in that airport to the end, everybody was trying to get you to give them something. But by making mention of that, I tell you this right here, it has been a beautiful experience coming to Ghana and leaving Ghana and not being harassed for money. It was a beautiful experience. And y'all go look through. Look, I got it easily laid out to where on mine, you on my channel, you just go to my videos. I got it broken down to the east, the west of Africa, the north of Africa, all the countries I've been to, and you see the videos, all I did, and look at it and see. And so my purpose in sharing my experience is to bring awareness and education to the people, especially if you come in to visit, and especially if you come in to live. Because yes, I know that narrative that the Europeans have done, they have tarnished Africa. Many of us African Americans are afraid to even come back to the motherland because of the propaganda that has been spilled across the globe, or even through the airways of the TVs, the radio waves, that was tarnished. Remember, for those who are old enough, remember, Tarzan, a white man swinging through the trees, having a little light-skinned boy called Boy swinging through the trees of the jungle, and had everybody think that Africa was black folks, Africans swinging in the trees of the jungles. We never got any footage of what is going on in Africa, how let alone was it developed or wasn't it not developed? Like our brother Asad said that, hey, shoot, we've seen nothing but the diseases and tribal wars and the poor poverties that the European people come into this day and pimp Africa, getting millions and billions of dollars, acting as though that they are some charity groups that want you to send your hardworking money when majority of Africa not even starving. Facts. And so my thing is this right here. We need to stand up and share those things that not only, because I'm like this right here, sometimes we got to point at our own selves to find fault in order for us to make things even better. Because we know there are some countries out here, it doesn't matter. Corruption's everywhere. Everywhere I go, that's the first thing. Whether I'm in Mexico, whether I'm in South America, whether I'm in Central America, whether I'm in some of the islands, whether I'm in passing through Europe, whether I'm going over America, whether it's in Africa, everywhere you go, there's always people say that their government is corrupt. Everybody can agree 100% that the government is corrupt. But as soon as somebody else come in and they're pointing something out different, oh, you come to the defense when it's not even about the people. It's about the system that is in place that's holding our people back. And I don't like to see our people held down. Now let's get on to this right here, because I got a guest coming in here. Let me see who my guest is. First and foremost, Josie, you need to show your face before I let you come in, because this is our conversation really quick. I mean, I'll let anybody in really tonight, because we do have those who call boards are here. We got those who are Britons that are here. We got Chinese that are here. We got Lebanese that are here. We got Greeks that are here. We got Jews that are here in South Africa. We got a mess load of people that are here in South Africa, and many have been here for hundreds of years. And maybe some of them can bring the light of this caste system that is very disappointing into knowing about, that I'm going to go ahead and share tonight. And it has nothing to do with the people, but our thing is this is for the people. Because if this gets on the airways, because we know even the apartheid lived for so long because word couldn't get around the world of what was really going on, until the killing of 1976 of the schools protest, when a young boy was killed, and the word got around because of a picture that was sent around the globe that people saw that the Europeans killed this young African in a student protest. Changed as time went on, changed the whole demographics of it. What we got now is a platform to be powerful. Now, this ain't about trying to make matters worse than what they already are. I'm not here to try to come in and cause a wedge between maybe what is going on, but to bring and shed light of what your people are saying, not me. That's like me teaching or reading out of the Bible, and you're gonna get mad at me what the Bible say. I didn't write it. I'm just reading what it says. How you gonna get mad at me? I'm just the messenger. And what I find is that there are those, thankfully to South Africans, there are those who proudly want to get on the video, and those who wants to share their story or tell, to be able to share what is going on. Please watch my previous 2 videos. Let's get into it. Let me go ahead and bring this guest in real quick. Josie, this is Josie. Please, Josie, are you in South Africa?
Yes, greetings, Go Black. Yes, I am in South Africa.
You're a South African.
I'm a South African and I'm a South African. I'm in
I'm
South
sorry, you
Africa.
broke. Say that again. You broke up.
I'm South African
Okay.
and I live in South Africa. Can you hear me
Good
now?
for you. Good for you. Good for you. Which tribe are you affiliated with, and what city are you in?
I'm Xhosa and Tswana and I'm from Johannesburg. I live here in Johannesburg.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. What do you have for us tonight? What you got to share?
No, look, South Africans have different lived experiences. Like the guy that you interviewed, I think yesterday, the tour guide. I think it really ticked some people off is that he got a lot of things wrong. First, the 1976 thing. It's hard to believe that he's an actual tour guide. And I think some people just didn't like that about him. And then the other things are just his perspective in terms of him thinking that black South Africans who are making it in life are somehow trying to fit into a white system. Well, that's his own individual opinion. So I can't be offended by that or by that because even though I disagree with him, because most black South Africans that I see thriving and doing well are not trying to fit into a white system. They're creating their own thing and doing for themselves. And I think what's happened in South Africa is that some people don't appreciate success or haven't been taught to appreciate success. So what that leads to is that some people become jealous. Like that guy, he sounded very jealous of his lack of progress. And another thing I'd like to say is that for me personally, I can't really say I don't experience racism. It's not something that I've experienced. Over here in Johannesburg, most of the schools that I went to, majority black. I mean, when I was in university, even though I ended up dropping out, it was majority black. So even though these were schools that were previously for white people, so most of these places that I went to are majority black. And I'm an entrepreneur. I work for myself. Like I'm self-employed guy, do my own thing. So it's not my part of
Well, let
my
me
lived
ask you,
experience.
Josie.
Like I don't
Josie,
experience white
let me ask
people.
you, how old are you, and what type of business do you have? And please share with us, how were you brought up? Were your parents had money? What did they do? Whatever. Please share with us. How old are you?
Okay, I'm from Johannesburg. My parents, well, both. My mom was an entrepreneur. My dad used to work at a job somewhere, like used to work for a company called ABB, like in sales. He was a salesman. My mom had her own businesses, so that's. I think I get the entrepreneurship from her. The
And how old
entrepreneurial,
are you?
the entrepreneurial culture from her. I'm 31.
Okay, you're 31. Okay, so and I'm with you on that right there. Look, when I interview people, people got to be wise enough to understand that's just that one person's perspective. No different than somebody wrote in the chat and said, you know, the guy that you interviewed, he's not South African. I don't need to interview all South Africans because South Africa has many groups of people. Today in my live that I did, I interviewed or talked to a Nigerian. I talked to somebody who's from the Congo, somebody who was from Cameroon. And so this right here is a great picture of the diversity of people that are here. I touched on the subject of xenophobia. So this people sometimes, you know, have to keep in mind that every person has their own perspective and cannot speak for the entirety of a country, city, or a place. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, and another thing, I have a hard time believing that South Africa's like America. Maybe you might feel that way. Maybe the other guy might feel that way. But for me personally, no. Like
Have you been to America?
it's just very difficult for me. Like if I'm gonna
Have
go,
you have you
yeah,
Josie?
no,
Have you been to America?
I've never been. No,
Okay, so you never been.
no,
So how can you say you don't believe it's like America?
it's hard for me to believe that. Especially, look, according to what guys like you say about your lived experiences there and my lived experiences here, like just going by that, that's a very difficult thing to me to believe, especially the lived experience. I'm not talking about the structure. I'm talking the lived experience. I'm going according to what people like you say, like on the internet. That's the only thing I have.
Did you
According
ever
to
hear me
that,
say? Did you ever hear me say that America or South Africa is like America?
yeah, that's the idea that's out there.
Well, hold up now. Come on now. Come on. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's not stay in the gray
No, no, no,
area.
no, no. I'm being
Did you
direct.
hear me
I'm
say
being
that
direct.
South Africa
No,
is just like? Because I'm gonna tell you, South
no.
Africa is not like America. And I'm about to get into it.
Okay, how about this? Like, okay, like when you talk about infrastructure, is it similar for you?
There are similarities. There are differences in every place. I can't say it's just like some place. No, it has its differences, a lot of differences, but there's a lot of similarities if you want to look at it.
All right, all right, all right,
I
all
can
right.
speak on
Okay.
that. You can't speak on it, Josie, because you haven't been to America. And so you can't go around talking about, well, I've never been to America, but I believe that it's different. How can you say that? You should be
No,
man
but
enough to
okay,
say
okay. Look,
you have experience to speak on that.
okay, look. Let me put it in this way. Let me put it in
Yeah.
this way. Look, the point that I'm trying to make is that according
Okay.
to like what many of you say over here in this space,
Yeah.
like, and I'm talking about my lived experience. If when I'm comparing it to my lived experience,
Yeah.
it's just not the same thing for me. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
And you're trying to speak on what aspect? What subject matter are you talking about?
The subject matter when some people, not necessarily directly you,
Yeah.
but like not necessarily you, but the narrative in this space that South Africa is just like the America in terms of lived experience. If you get what I mean, in terms of
Like
racism,
what?
to be more
Like
specific. In
like
terms of
racism.
racism. Yeah.
Okay,
Are
so
you
you
hearing me?
think that think Johannes, go ahead. You said you never discriminate, you never experienced discrimination. You said
No.
that.
Yep.
Okay, so please share with us then how do you see the difference then what you've never been to America though, but you say there's a difference between the racism than America and
Okay.
Johannesburg.
I think you're misunderstanding me. Like, remember the point that I'm making. Look, it's important. Like, can you hear me clearly though?
I
It's
can, but
important.
you
Like,
break up every now and then.
yeah, I think that's the problem. The whole breaking up. Okay. Look, what a point that I'm trying to say, like on the internet, in this space over here, on the internet over here on YouTube, there's a certain narrative that's out there that South Africa is just like America in terms of lived experience in terms of racism, like that's here, that it's the same thing. And for me, when I compare that to my lived experience, I say no. That's what I was speaking to. I wasn't saying I've been there. I wasn't comparing them as in I've been there. That's what I was just saying earlier. Did you get that?
I get it very well and fine that you're supplied an answer that there is a difference of America and South Africa racism, but you've never been to America. That's what you
No,
say.
you're
So
misunderstanding me. You're
how am
misunderstanding
I
me again.
misunderstanding you, Josie?
No, because you're twisting it. Like the point that I said, like, look, according to you and guys like you on the internet, right? Not like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
specifically, like in this space,
right.
the narrative that you hear is that in terms of racism, South Africa is just like America. And for me, as someone who's sitting here in South Africa, and when I listen to these people's experiences that live in America, it just doesn't match to my lived experience. I'm not saying that according to what people say in this space.
Well, you know what's interesting that you say that? Because please disclose to who you're talking about who comes in South Africa, and you're saying that Americans are comparing this Africa to South America to South Africa. All I've seen was everybody who's glorifying South Africa and how beautiful it is.
No, that's not true though. That's not entirely true. There's one, the search
Name me
for
one
Uhuru guy,
YouTuber, please. Please name me one
Search
YouTuber.
for Uhuru. Dynasty Mir, search for Uhuru.
Okay, and what he had to say about it.
Like you can check his videos out on South Africa. He's the one
Please share with us.
who pushed that narrative. Huh?
Right. What did
No,
he
it's
say
on
about
here.
it?
He's been here before. He's been here before. He's the one that compared South Africa to America in terms of racism, to be straight with you.
Is there anything wrong with that?
Look, when you compare to my lived experience, look, you can compare the two, but as a South African, I'm gonna have to disagree with it. That's my opinion.
How
He's
can you
entitled to his own.
disagree with a person who's coming from a country
No, but
and
like he's switching it up again.
But Josie, hold on a
Go
second.
ahead,
Now, hold on a
finish.
second. Come on now.
No,
How
finish,
can you
finish, finish.
disagree with somebody who's coming from a place that you have not been, never experienced in your life, and come and say, you know what? South Africa is kind of like America, and you disagree, but you ain't been America. How could you
No, 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 no,
disagree?
no. No, 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 no. You flipping it again. That's not what I said.
Flipping somebody, okay, everybody, push one if I'm flipping, push two
Yeah, but
if
you are
I am reciting exactly what he's saying. One if I'm flipping
no,
his
you're not.
story. Two, we're gonna let everybody go ahead and chime in on this. Push one if I'm flipping and twisting what he's saying, or two, that I am saying that what he is saying is that, hey, okay, what? So people saying
Two, you flipping.
I'm
Two, you
one, I
flipping.
said if you're flipping, I'm flipping. Two is I'm saying what I'm saying this that you
No,
you are disagreeing with somebody who you say is comparing America to South Africa, and you disagree with them saying it's the same, but yet you haven't been to America, but you're disagreeing with them on something you
no,
don't
but
have
that's not what I
no.
said.
What did you say,
No,
please?
but that's not what I said. You can you miss. Okay, look, I said
Well, we're
according
gonna
to
have to, hey
that.
Josie,
Like I'm talking about my
Josie,
lived
we just gonna
experience.
have to we're
I'm
just gonna
talking
have to
my lived
disagree
experience.
on this thing right here because
Agree to
I'm missing
disagree.
it. I'm sorry, I'm not understanding you. So we don't need to go further on the
Yeah.
conversation
Okay.
because we're missing it. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and
Yeah,
put the
man.
link back in here, and I'm going to share some of my experience, Josie, because my thing is that it's okay, brother, because I can't speak for anybody else but myself. And those that I'm interviewing, that is their perception. And it's interesting enough that those who may disagree with these people's perceptions that I interview, look, my email is goblack2africa@gmail.com. Please, while I'm here, I'm gonna be here for a whole month in South Africa. I would love to interview you and share those different things that maybe you say. Because my thing is that let's not blast each other and say he's off cuff, his information is wrong, he's dead wrong. I don't disagree. Look, that's their perception. If you have a story that is different, like you said you ain't never experienced discrimination. Now that's interesting, hard for me to understand, but that's your story. You've never experienced it. But I can guarantee you indirectly there's a lot of discrimination going on, and I'm gonna get to it. Just me being here only 4 days, what my experiences is, and those who's visit that told me some stories. So hey, I appreciate you, Josie.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
thanks
let
for
these.
having me on. Like, thanks for
Yeah,
having
bro.
me on. It's
Yeah,
great
man.
talking to
Shoot
you.
me an email,
Peace.
man. Hey, shoot me an email. Let me know some places that enlighten me. Okay.
Okay, I'll shoot you an email.
Be blessed, brother. Yeah, James, what's happening with you? Please, you South African?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Okay.
Is
Where you live in South
is
Africa?
this a South African only call?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm only taking calls right now in South Africa, man. I
I'm gonna get
appreciate it.
on.
All right. Judy.
Hello, Hugo Brock.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Are you in South
You
Africa?
are right on the point. You are very
Judy.
right on the point. I'm from
Judy, are you
Kenya.
South African?
No, no, no. I'm from Kenya, but because the Kenyan,
Judy, I'm not taking calls from anybody, but right now, excuse me, I have to let the South Africans come speak for where we are. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you. When I get to Kenya, you can call me on Kenya, okay?
yes,
Okay. Peace and blessing, my sister. Hey, Azania, are we South African? Can you hear me? Hello. Okay, you got to call back my brother. He can't come in. I'm gonna put the link back in, family, because my thing is this right here. Let's get down to it. I'm gonna go ahead and share some information right now. Okay. Are there similarities to America and South Africa? Yes, there is. Are there differences? Yes, there are. A whole lot of differences. And there's some there's similarities. Now, I know that our brother spoke about racism, and he believes that the racism is different than or you can't compare America, racism to South Africa racism. Well, I'll say this right here. If I walked up to you and slapped you, and I walk up and punched you, are the two different and or are they the same? They're different, okay? They're definitely different. Slap and a punch is different, but they still are considered an assault. And because of that, they will fall under a thing that we will call a crime. Because of an assault, slapping or hitting falls under that same category. So to me, discrimination can be done in different ways. They can touch people differently, affect people differently, and even have people see it differently. Some people don't even know when they're discriminated against. There are those who don't even know that there is racism around them. Let me share with you my first instance today. My first instance today, we went to the Leonardo, the largest building that's here in Johannesburg or in South Africa, in most parts of Africa. And so I was in Leonardo. Me and my wife went up there, go check out the city, see all around and everything. It was like, wow, okay, cool. Wow, this is neat. And we noticed that this European woman, don't know where she's from and all that right there. She was out there taking her pictures and stuff. And we was out there about 30 minutes up there on top and all, sit there, had our juice. It was time for us to go. Notice that the white woman was at the elevator. And so I told my wife, I said, yo, let's hurry up and get over the elevator so we ain't got to wait for it to come back up. Well, she was there tending to herself, looking through this glass and looking at herself and tidying herself up. And she looked at us. And when she saw that we were standing right there behind her, she stepped out off the elevator, not off the elevator, but right there in front of the elevator doors, and then proceeded to act as though she's taking pictures, which she was already there 30 minutes, took all the pictures and that right there and let us come on. Now, me and my wife had dinner with a couple last night, and our sister, who shared a story with us, was that there is this thing, that a class thing here in South Africa, that there are those people, not everybody, but there are those people who will feel as though that they are in a better class than you are and won't even get on the elevator. But she shared us a story when she was on the elevator that they got on the elevator and the others got off. Yet there was a floor apparently that maybe they were going to because it was lit or whatever, and yet they got off. So she had asked the woman, and she was like, yeah, there are some people who just ain't going to go ahead and get on the elevator, whatever. So I saw that and I said, aha, is this what the woman is talking about? That there are those who will think that they're better than they ain't going to want to. The other thing that they broke down a lot of things. And of course, she's from Ghana, but her husband's right here from South Africa and been here, and so he really educated us on a lot of differences from the beginning of the Boer Wars, World War I, World War IIs, and all the way up to today. So we got a little wealth of knowledge from his side, his perspective, and his education and what he knows. And he basically was telling us about some of the injustices, some of the way that the things are here that still exist, and that, that there are things that, that people will experience when it comes to discrimination, or those people who think that they're better in. But he shared that this class system, you got the whites, you got the coloreds, then you got those beneath the coloreds, which you're going to consider to be Chinese, the Chinese, or maybe the Indians, or those Lebanese or whatever. Then you got underneath that class there, then you might have the blacks. And here, it's live and well in my experience, but because I started to ask people that, and it's, oh yeah, we have that. And there are people who subscribe to that, and there are those who, don't look at it that way, but it still exists. And there was a lot of other things that went on, but I'll get to my second story after this, after I get to my guest, about what is it that people are saying. Because I got an audio here that I interviewed a young man, and his perception, young man, 23 years old, and what he's seeing, what's going on, and he's trying to get his foot into this world of work. But let's move on to one of our guests, our first guest here, Siyabanga. Are you from South Africa? Living in South Africa?
Yes, brother, can you hear me?
Yes. Are you here in South Africa?
I'm South African and I am Zulu.
Are you a Zulu? Okay.
Yeah.
What would you like to share about this discrimination or what have you in your country, South Africa?
Okay. My opinion is that there is racism in South Africa. For people to think that there is no racism, I don't know where they get that from because I think it's because you know when you live in something, you become so comfortable, you don't even feel that you live in it. It's like if you tell the fish that it's living in water, it will say no. We were born in racism. I mean, if you go to the bank now, the rates that you are going to get with the rates that you are going to get when you compare with the white man, it's two different worlds. The white man's going to get better rates. You will get the worst of them all. So
Mm,
I just feel like people are so comfortable in racism such that they don't even know that they're in racism. So my view is that we just live in racism here. It's a country built on race. It's a society built on race. Everything is racism. I mean, there's really a few people that are maybe they don't experience racism, or maybe people just don't know what racism is.
mhm,
Because
mhm.
I just think if they can step out of where they are living in, they would be able to see racism.
Do
So
you,
that's
do,
just
I mentioned about a
yeah,
caste system. The whites are considered to be on top. Then the
yeah.
coloreds are considered, and those who don't know, coloreds are those who may be, I
It's
would
mixed
assume.
race. It's mixed race
I
people.
was told it was whites, then the Boers, then the coloreds, then like
No,
Chinaman and the Lebanese or whatever.
the Boers are white. The Boers are
Yeah, they
white.
are. They
The
are.
Boers, it's Dutch people. It's just that they call themselves Afrikaners. I think they're just trying to steal their African identity, but they are just
Mm,
Dutch. That's what they are. So the Boers are Dutch, and then you get English. They're all at the same level in South Africa.
mm-hmm,
And then
mm-hmm,
then you get Indians. Well, that might be subjective. So for me, I think white people, the Boers English are richer, they're like the top of the crop, and then you get Indians, and then you get colored, and then you get black people. But that is really changing because we have a black government here, and for me, I feel like it's really changing because some of the laws are really favoring black people, so that is changing. They're getting more contracts from the government, so that is really pushing the. That is why you see us having more middle class because we're getting more contracts, and I think we're really pushing. If that's all I can say.
All righty. Hey, I appreciate your perception and all right there. Let's pass the mic over to Tumelo. Tumelo, let me see here. Let me take you off of. Okay, mute. How you doing, my brother? Are you in South Africa? Are you South African?
Yes. I'm in South Africa. I'm South African. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. What are you belong to a tribe of people?
Predominantly known as Ndebele, but mixed to the core, mixed with almost every Nguni race or
Okay.
Nguni
So
tribe.
what do you
Yeah.
have to add to this subject right here, my brother?
Well, a lot of things have been touched on by Siyabonga. I would like to go back to our friend earlier on in what you call the tour guide. Yeah, I
Okay.
would like to add on because my guy they say that he's wrong apparently from Josie and all of those things. So I would like to touch on a little bit of both because my guy, the tour guide, he mentioned something about a certain people that go to these places, sent him, and now they don't wanna be with the other black people, and then Josie says there's a jealousy and all of those things. This is actually the conversation that is happening, that is dominating our streets right now, basically, where we're trying to understand where to from here, because apparently now we are free. So with those two class differences, as you mentioned it becomes a little bit difficult to find common ground that we can unite as South Africans and Africans and the diaspora as a whole. So it's very difficult for us to establish ourselves as Pan-Africanists right here because of those two conversations. Can you hear me?
I hear you. I hear you.
Yes. So with that discriminations that you are talking about, we can't underlie the fact that we are well indoctrinated in this whole systematic racism, because as much as we are not going to say you are black, you are white, the system itself has been designed for us to be the way we are right now. Be it class difference, we are being taught different things in different classes. If I could maybe add on what Josie was saying, that they say America is like South Africa. I would like to agree on that, even though I've never been to America, solely based on what I can observe systematically. Other than that, I cannot comment further than that, because there are similarities. We've got what we've called the slums here, where our people live in shacks and sewer pipes running all over. As soon as you walk out, to a person who lives in a place where the suburbs, the upper classes. So somehow, because of that, we cannot find consensus or find similarities within ourselves, because we have been indoctrinated that those that are in the slums, they are lazy, and those that are in the suburbs, their parents actually worked and deserve to be where they are. So in that sense, it becomes a divide amongst ourselves, creating classes amongst ourselves, furthering the division. And this whole notion that what I have right now is what I deserve, not recognizing that systematically when we were freed, there were structures that were put in place to to further the agenda of the systematic racism, because of things such as affirmative action. Today you are poor, tomorrow you're driving a Land Rover, automatically excluding the rest of us and creating or recreating the so-called 1% that is more or less the new class, the new Boere class here in South Africa. So now it becomes difficult for us to say, nah, this thing is systematic racism. And they're gonna say how? Because the government or is black now. There's black people in these companies that were stolen or take, particularly the mines and all of those things. We've got black people there. So now the argument becomes, what are you talking about? Because there's black people represented
Exactly.
everywhere. That's
I
what
get
I'm
your
trying.
point.
Yeah.
I definitely get your point, and I appreciate you sharing. I'm gonna pass the mic on to our next
Pass
guest
the mic.
because,
Pass the mic.
okay, brother, peace to you. He hits on a lot of points. I mean, because sometimes, the system knows, they know that if we get enough people that it can at least show there is an advancement, then nobody can complain no more. But those people that are getting the advancements or the opportunity is only one little percent, 2%, 5% of the 95% left. So then how can we say it's equal and fair until we see that the majority of our people are rising to that class, the higher class, where they should be like everybody else? Why is it, even like in America, or I'll just speak of America because I don't know the stats here, but why is it in America we make up 13%, so they say, of the population, but when it comes to wealth, we can't even register on the daggone Richter scale of those who actually have made it? But Tumelo makes a perfect point, is even the indoctrination of the mind of where when you think you've made it, you look down on your own brothers and sisters as though they can't even stand up on their own 2 feet and have the same opportunities as you had. These are things we need to think about. But we're gonna keep this rolling right here because this is about the South Africans right here where I am in, and I'm hearing these conversations. I don't go looking for conversations of discrimination and stuff like that. I typically will ask people right here, tell me what's going on here. How's the Africans doing, this and that? And the first thing most people want to say is, yo, it's not fair. And these discriminations and stuff. These are the topics that's the number one topic most people are talking about. Let's go to ARV Precision MF Core. Are you from South Africa?
No, yeah, I live in South Africa, but I'm a Nigerian. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but this is, brother, this platform right now is only for the South
No,
African.
I want to. Okay, all right, okay. But do you want me to say something?
No, not right now. This time, this is South Africans' part. Their time right now. I appreciate you though. Okay, I appreciate it. I want to make sure that. Hey, I'm in South Africa, and I understand there are people who live here who are from other countries. I've interviewed some of those people today on my lives and stuff, but let's hear from those who are citizen residents who have that right, that voice to be heard. So if you're on the panel right now and you're not from South Africa, living in the South African, let's give our brothers and sisters their opportunity to speak. All right, let's move on to Africa Talk Tech.
Hello.
Tech.
Yes,
How
my
you
brother.
doing?
How are you? Okay, I'm fine, and you?
Good.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Are you African? Are you South African?
Yes, I am. I live in South Africa. I am South African.
Where are you from, and what affiliation, or tribe, or whatever you're from?
I'm from Pretoria, and I'm Tswana. The tribe is Tswana.
You tribe, okay.
Yeah. So Pretoria is the capital city, not far from Johannesburg. So
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanna say this to this brother who says we're not like we still live we don't have racism. Systematically, we still have. If you look at the top or the biggest companies listed on the South African Stock Exchange, most of the CEOs there are white. In a country where the majority is black or 80% black, but the biggest companies, all of them which are listed on the stock exchange, the CEOs, most of them are white. And if you look at a lot of black people in this country, they still live far away from the economic opportunities. They live in the so-called townships or the hoods, whatever you want to call them. I do a lot of these videos. You can go to my YouTube. It shows you will never find white people who live in this informal settlements that we call townships. Mostly, they never live in those places. It's majority black people. So since you've been here, my brother, all the menial jobs that you've looked at, or like the janitors, who does those jobs? It's mostly black. You haven't seen a lot of white people who doing these kind of jobs or these menial jobs. But you see, white people are at the top, black people at the bottom, and we are the majority. So you can't say there's no racism. Systematically, it is there. Black people are just the managers or the overseers, but white people are the real owners. They just like they're the real owners of, and black people are just the faces, but behind is white people. I mean, of the top 10 billionaires we have in this country, only one is black. All of them are white, but we are the majority. What does that tell you? So that's all I have to say.
I appreciate that, Africa Tech. Some information that many need to think about because of, sometimes there are signs, there are indicators that one can see whether or not there is fair and equitable wealth exchange with other people. When you have a system, corporations, institutions, companies, whatever, that you find that there are no people that look like you at the top. I have 3 conversations with people who were just talking about they got the degrees, they really didn't have the opportunities of getting to higher management positions or supervisor positions or wherever. And you find that there are younger whites who could be in charge of somebody who has degrees and they don't have degrees. And so it's like, yeah, it exists. Ain't nothing new. It exists. But this is the conversation I'm running across while I'm here. Let's go on over to Thando. What's happening, my brother? How are you today?
Hey, how's it go black? Yeah, it's actually Tando. Like
Thando, my bad. I speak
Not
English, my brother. So
Ta, like Ta.
Tando.
Yeah, Tando. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice to meet you, and thanks for having me. Yeah,
Are you South African?
yeah, I'm South
You live in
African.
South Africa.
Yeah, I'm based in Johannesburg.
Please tell me how old you are and what do you do for a
Um,
living?
I'm 25
Okay.
currently, um, and I'm a trader.
You're a trader.
Yeah,
Trader, Trader, or trainer? Or
trader,
trader. Okay.
trader. Yeah, trade the
What do you
financial
trade?
market, financial markets, forex, indices, financial markets, basically.
Okay. Okay. What do you got for us tonight?
Yeah, before we start, I actually have a question for you.
Sure.
It seems like you have a, very pressing point on South Africa. Like, so I want to ask you, what exactly is that pressing point for you? Because this is like, something that you keep emphasizing on that you're not very comfortable about South Africa. So I just want to be clear before I go any further. Like, what is that thing
What is that thing that I what now?
that is bothering you about South Africa, like your pain point? Because it seems like you have a really strong pain point
Not
regarding
at
South
all.
Africa and the system. Like, I just want to be clear before I make my point.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Yeah, I appreciate you asking that. I have no problem with South Africa. I have no, well, let me back that up. Let me back that
No,
up.
what's your pressing point? Not necessarily a problem, but what's your, as your description describes, just
Yeah.
can't see it right now, regarding, let me just see. So your
Regarding my
description
experience
says
with
why are
discrimination.
people ignoring the discrimination issues that's happening, right? So what exactly is this discrimination that you experience that you
Well, I've already mentioned that I have taken note based upon what people are sharing what discrimination is. Okay, the woman who didn't want to get on the elevator with me and my wife, the conversation I had today with a husband and a wife who they came from the casinos, and a white guy called African monkey, and they started arguing, and the security came and went and talked to the white guy, and but he was allowed to return back to the table, and it was this back and forth going. I said, he called him a monkey. He said, yes. Now this brother right here is visiting South Africa from America, him and his wife, and he said he was thrown back, that out of his mouth could say such. Now there was another Black American that he said was sitting at that table because they was playing poker, that he basically blasted the white guy in the mouth and said, I'll kick your butt, whatever it is. He said, but you know what I'm saying? Because we are very sensitive to these various type of behaviors when it comes to America. So when I'm hearing this, right, and then I'm told by my brothers and sisters, I don't know if you saw my 2 videos of those who share their opinions and things of how things are. I got audio right here. I'm going to be playing probably shortly. So the information that I'm receiving, and then telling me about this caste system that exists. Today, I was walking down the street, me and my wife, we came out of Leonardo, and I speak to everybody because everybody that I see, they're my brother and they're my sister, because I understand the struggle when you have a system in place that some people just do not have a fair shot based upon the system of what they have in place for you to be where you could possibly be by your own gifts and talents. So there was 2 brothers that was walking down the street. Me and my wife crossed the street. So as they crossed us, I said, good morning, my brothers. And then they said, good morning. And they continued to walk, and they took about 10 steps. And then they slowed down, and the brother turned around and said, thank you for greeting us. I said, you're welcome. Now, I can only attribute that based upon what I was told the night before with the couples that I went and we had dinner with, that, that there's this caste system, that even people that are Africans, there are those who might be mixed with, call themselves colors. There are those who even, they showed me a picture of a brother who is dark as I am, call himself colored. And yet there is this underlying thing that people are trying to probably reach to these certain levels. But the brothers were thrown back and at least said to me, thank you for greeting us, which I didn't want to. We were in a rush trying to get to the train station, but I was really kind of interested. I should have asked the question is, what are you amazed that I said something to you? So there was something behind that I would have even acknowledged them, that maybe they're not even acknowledged by somebody like me or what have you. But they did say, thank you for greeting us. So it's not of any big thing that I've experienced, but I am being told these things in South Africa, and I am looking at and comparing. And then even in my experience, I'm just connecting the dots. So you can go ahead on, my brother, so you can go ahead and share what you got to share.
Okay, awesome. Now I hear you, and what you're saying is totally valid. And my next question to you would be, is there anywhere in the world where you're gonna go and not experience racism, right? If I go to America right now, or any black person in the world goes to America, right? They're not gonna be able to tell that I'm South African or I'm Ndebele, or just like here in South Africa, they're not gonna be able to tell if I'm Zulu or this tribe or that tribe. They see a black person, right? And if I go to America, it's the same thing. If I go to Europe, it's the same thing, right? So we have inherited a system, right? All of us black people all over the world, right? It's not only us, right? So it's a bit hypocritical to speak, a lot of people speak about South Africa like very isolated, right? When it comes to like these systems, right? You have the very same systems across Africa, but it's not, white people are not present, so it's not as visible, right? But it's the very same system, right? Disguised by black country, right? We also have a black government, but like in Africa, you have a lot of, majority, not native
Dondo,
people.
let me say this real quick. Let me interject real quick. Let me let
Yeah.
people know this right here. Let me let people know who don't know. Y'all may not go by this, but we go by this right here. It's not government who has the power. It's the money.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole nother
You can have a
conversation.
black government all day long because that money is
Yeah,
going to get in the
I
pockets of those
understand
who are
that, but
politicians
that's a whole
that are
nother
not.
conversation we can get
Yeah,
to, right?
it is.
It's
It
gonna,
is. It is.
we're not gonna get to what we really talking about, which is what you want to talk about, which is South Africa. So what I'm trying to say is, the very same system that everybody is talking about, I can go anywhere in the world, regardless of whether it's a black country or not. I'm going to experience it because that's the global white supremacist system that we are all experiencing. So it's very, I don't want to say stupid of us, but like we cannot ignore the root cause of the system in South Africa, right? So now when you come to South Africa, right, it's the system seems more present and prevalent because obviously you have more white presence compared to the rest of other African countries, right? But I mean, if you are in Ghana, right, there are people who are oppressed based on their tribes, based on their financial status, right? There are people who would say they are oppressed in South Africa, black South Africans, right? But if they had to live in Ghana or whatnot, right, they probably feel more oppressed than they would in South Africa right now. So I'm not trying to make a comparison between African countries and African people, right? But what I'm trying to say is you cannot, isolate South Africa as this heaven on Africa on earth where black people are, free and everybody is, rich and living equally, where there is no such place in the world, right? You're going to talk about the minority owning majority of the wealth. What's the situation in America? You go to America, it's minority, regardless of whether it's black or white. You go to China, it's the same thing. It's always a minority that owns the wealth, right? If you go to Europe, even if it's still Europeans, majority of the wealth is owned by a minority within, a
Dondo,
European
Dondo,
country, right?
Dondo,
So
let me ask you
now,
a question. Let me
the
ask you a
same,
question.
yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. What countries have you been to?
I've never traveled.
Okay, so you are assuming some things that you haven't experienced, but you do hit a point, because I got to move on with the passing the mic. You do make valid points. You can find prejudice anywhere. You can find prejudice or discrimination rather within uh, uh, Black communities, but you're not going to find racism. You might find discrimination, but you're not going to find racism. There's a difference between discriminating and racism. And so this is what the main focus of it is discriminating against somebody because, or is there racism that those who are thinking they're better can keep those of different colors?
But that's the thing.
Okay.
You see, the problem is this, right? If I'm South African, right? There is nowhere in South Africa right now where I can, let's say I want to apply at a certain school, or I want to live in a certain neighborhood. I will not be able to do that simply because I'm Black, right? I'm not going to talk about corporate and whatnot, because we know that the owners of capital, it's white monopoly capital, right? That's why I'm saying even in the US, it's, corporate is always owned by white European men, right? Anywhere you go, that's the situation, right? But what I'm trying to say is that right now, we as Black people are making up the excuses, right? To say that I cannot go do this. There are many Black people who have done the very same thing that you say you cannot do multiple times, right? In America, I was watching a movie called The Banker, about Joe Morris and some guy, two Black guys who bought a bank in Texas, right, in the 60s, which was obviously the height of segregation, right? But they did it. That's the underlying fact, and we need to have that spirit of racism this, racism that. We need to say, okay, cool, there is racism. Let's work towards it. How are we gonna, okay, Americans are being killed by police, there's racism, right? They need to work on that. Africa is in absolute disparity and poverty. They need to work on that. South Africa is experiencing racism and discrimination. We need to work on that. And then we work together, and then we come together, right? Because we're so concerned about pointing out each other's problems and focusing on what this country or those people are doing, instead of realizing that we all have one common enemy, and we need to work towards empowering ourselves, so we stop making excuses for ourselves and actually doing something about our situation.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause you right there. I appreciate, man, your input, because I'm gonna pass the mic, because I'm gonna keep this going, because I don't want to spend all night on this. But I appreciate you, man. You have a beautiful night, my brother. Peace and blessings to you. But yeah, family, he makes a valid point. I mean, you know what? Y'all have heard me say this before. Sometimes, you know what? The problem might be us. Sometimes we want to go ahead and blame situations that maybe could be our fault. I was told too by an individual that they have programs here that are helping and assisting some of helping the youth and the people looking for jobs, that they have these programs, and that people will go on these programs because they will pay them a stipend. But they go in there, they may not complete the program, or they find out that there's another program that they can get paid more money for. They quit that program, run over here and get this right here, and they're like chasing the money. Or that there are people out here who try to get these business loans, but they're never going to do the project, or they don't fully complete the project, and they take the money and they run and do and spend the money up and all right there. We know that. And there should be precautionary measures in place so that don't happen. Because sometimes there won't be precautionary measures, because for those who may be, giving creating these programs and stuff, the first thing they come out their mouth and says, see, look, we give them a chance and they're not even doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because my thing is educating a person to understand what these things are for. Because when you give a man an opportunity and he doesn't have the knowledge, when the man doesn't have the knowledge, he may not even have a drive to go to school every day. He may not have the knowledge to know how to even go home and study, to discipline himself in school books and staying faithful in one place. And there's a lot of education programs that should be out there before you even giving these people programs that's going to come in just for the money. Because a man who's poor and need money today is going to go ahead and try to take that money. So yeah, there should even be precautionary measures. And like our man Tano said, is that yeah, sometimes we got to stop pointing the finger at racism this and racism that, and look at the fact that okay, we're affected by it, but are we doing really all that we can do to get ourselves out of the situation that we're in today? Mbulelo, hey, what's happening, my brother? Are you South African?
Good,
Let us
what's
know.
good, what's good, what's good, my brother?
Good, you South African.
I am South African. Are you enjoying our country?
Hey, I'm loving the country, man. I'm loving the people, man. Loving the
Yeah,
people.
yeah, man. I've been following you for a while. I just
Where are
sometimes
you?
get
Where are you in South
lost.
Africa? Where are you in South Africa? Where you living?
In KwaZulu Natal,
Okay, all
KZN.
right.
You
Okay.
know, sometimes I've been following you for a while, my brother, and I think the message gets lost. You know, we as South Africans sometimes we don't truly understand uh, uh, um, how guys who come here from outside seem to understand us and our problems more than we understand them. You know, people come from outside and they see so many problems in this country, and they tell us we are doing this wrong, that we're doing this wrong, we are doing this wrong. And then you say to these people, where do you come from and what have you done where you come from?
Yeah.
You know, and what ends up happening is that, you know, you find that they have no credibility. Those people who talk a lot about South Africa having issues themselves come from countries with issues and they are doing nothing about it. You know, Pan Africanism, my brother. I'm a strong supporter of Pan Africanism, but the issue with Pan Africanism, as stated by the brother Tando before me, the issue with Pan Africanism most of the time, it seeks to talk about history, it seeks to put blame, assign blame. It does not talk about building, it does not talk about the future. You cannot always talk about your enemy every single day. And the fact that you're talking about your enemy and you're making him realize that you are onto his schemes, that is not smart. You should be working, Pan-Africanism should be working on programs, on us as Africans, one, getting together, doing business together, and three, thriving. There's solutions and making connections. So I've seen all these channels made by African Americans who are strong Pan Africanists, but they are strong Pan Africanists. They do not understand the countries they come into, their history, and they don't have solutions. They just talk about the white man. The white man is bad. The white man is attacking us. The white man did this to us. We've heard that, bruh. We need solutions. We need to come together. We need connections. We need to do business together. You
Well,
know,
let me ask you this right
and,
here. Let me ask you this right here, because you know there's a lot of things that we don't know, and there's a lot of things that you don't know when it comes to both of us coming from two different worlds. You know, I still say the same system because I don't care if you call yourself Britain or you call yourself a Boer, you're still the distant cousins of a European. So I'm saying this right here is that let's let this panel, like yourself, starting with you. What are some of the solutions they're doing about this racism in South Africa? And is it
my
working?
brother,
Are y'all making strides since apartheid?
okay, I'm telling you one thing, my brother. The struggle for South Africa began as soon as the white man landed.
The
It
what? Say that again?
continued. I'm saying to you, the struggle in South Africa began as soon as the white man landed in this country. And it has been going on for more than 300 years. And many things will not be achieved in a day or in 10 years. We have made a lot of strides, but we have a lot which we need to do.
Let
You
me
know,
say this right
when
here.
Mandela came out of, when Mandela came out of jail. When Mandela came out of jail, the ANC had been here for over half a century. The struggle, and before the ANC, the indigenous people had been fighting the British and the Boers for over a century. So you cannot expect everything to come into order, everything to be perfect. And it's sad that it's only South Africa which is given this expectation to be perfect, to be everything, to be the perfect child in this African community. There are problems in America. There are problems in every corner of Africa as we talk, even in countries which were not colonized. Even in countries which have had freedom for 50 years, there are challenges. Let us build, my brother. You know, what ends up happening is that you come and have your views, right? And I think South Africans tend to take issue. And I think you've seen that online. It's not that they are saying they don't like to be criticized. It's not that they don't like to be analyzed. But if you are going to criticize South Africans, if you are in Ghana, go to a slum and tell Ghanaians, why do you have a slum here? If you are going to criticize South Africans about foreigners or white people having businesses here, go to Nigeria, ask them, why are Lebanese getting rich here? Why are Indians getting rich here? You know, and South Africans will take issue with that because it seems like we're the only ones who are expected to be like, I don't know, we're supposed to lead. Maybe people are looking for us to lead. We are working under very big problems. You know.
Well, Movello, I have to move forward on, man. I got to pass the mic because of the fact that, I'm giving each person at least 5 minutes to speak, and I got to pass the mic on.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. I hope you enjoy our country, though. You know what you must do.
I'm going to.
Okay, listen, my brother. I'm closing off. Just make an appointment with South Africans and get to chat to them. Don't preach to them. Chat to them. Call South Africans. Let them chat to you, and you're gonna find them. We are welcoming people. Thank you, my brother. Enjoy the country.
Thank you. I don't preach to none of the South Africans. I'm a person who like to engage conversation. I made a simple conversation today, a gentleman that I recorded interview that, I asked him who owned the business. Who owns this business? And he started from there. We could never own these businesses. These right here, we can only rent. Then he went on and then he went on. See, my thing is that I will let people talk. Now I will ask a question because typically I don't do interviews when it comes to stuff like this. I really don't. Because when people go on, because I get tired of hearing our government is corrupt. The people are like this and that. And the first thing I ask is, do you want me to do an interview with you? Because I believe that these type of panels can create change. I don't go out here just trying to let me go out here to South Africa and let me just go ahead and interview people and just find out about this racism and all that right there. No, I don't go and just trying to dig open a sore wound that I know that still exists. But when I'm hearing people tell me, this ain't fair, that right there is an issue, and this is an issue, that is an issue. Do you want to be interviewed, brother, sister? Do you want to go on video? And then people some say yes, some say no, because people want to hear the difference. I ain't never been to South Africa until right now. People are beautiful. People are beautiful. South Africa. Look, there ain't been an African country that I've been to that I would ever say that the people aren't beautiful. We are all beautiful. Now, like one of the panel members said, was the fact that, you know what, sometimes we can be caught up into a system. We can become them as well. and our mindset can become them. We'll think like them, talk like them, want to walk like them and everything else, and yet don't realize that the table still is slanted. Lozy, come on in.
Hey, yes, brother, go black to Africa. I'm glad you came to my country, man. Yeah, this is important for us. And I've seen what you've been doing, which I think is good. You've got your content, you promoting Africa, you what you interviewing the locals, you're trying to get the bottom of it. I've got an input in the whole thing because I've been reading even comments and seeing what people have got to say about us. Most what you're gonna realize, what you're going to learn is that most Africans have a lot to say about us. But I think since you've been in South Africa, you've realized that most Africans are living in South Africa compared to many countries that you've visited. You find many kind of Africans in South Africa than any country on the continent, and you hardly find South Africans in any country you've been into. The truth is that this is a global system that we are facing, and South Africans are better black vision on the continent than anywhere. South Africans are having the largest standards of living, more than any blacks on the continent, apart from Namibia and Botswana, which I believe they are on par with us. What we are dealing
Let me
with
ask
here,
you,
it's a
Lozy, let me ask you, Lozy, let me
yes,
ask you a question.
yeah.
What countries have you been to?
I haven't been into any African country apart from Angola, which you have been through many African countries. But I've got
But you made
numbers
a
to back up my
statement. You made a
statements.
statement that
Yes,
you
yes,
said South
yes, I
Africans are
did.
living better than most African. What did you say? I don't
Not,
remember.
not just most Africans, but all black Africans on the continent.
Say that
And
again. Say
it's
the
not
whole
an
thing that you
opinion.
said. You broke up.
Black South Africans are probably, when it comes to living standards, are probably on par with the Botswana people and the Namibians. The rest of the other blacks on the continent are below us in terms of standards of living. And
Why would
this
you?
is
Let me
not
ask
an
you a
opinion.
question. You
Yeah.
have not traveled to the majority of
I
the
don't need
countries.
to. I don't need to travel the continent to know this. I don't need to travel to know this.
Excuse me?
I don't need to travel the continent to know this. The migrants' numbers don't
How
lie.
do you know this? How do you know this then?
The migrants' numbers don't lie. People are jumping our borders to be in South Africa from the continent, all over.
Okay,
So let's talk economy. Let's talk economy to go to Africa. Let's stop with opinions. Let's talk economy. Let's talk
Hold on,
economy.
hold
If
on,
you
hold on,
want
hold on,
facts.
man. Hold on, Lozy, Lozy. This is my show,
Yes.
man. You don't tell me what we talk about. This is
Yeah.
your man, not your
Okay.
boy. You
Yeah.
talk about what I
Let's
want
go.
to talk about. If you don't want to talk about
Okay.
it, then I'll just let you
Which
go.
blacks are living better
You
than
have a
us on
good
the
night. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. This is your man, not your boy, Lozy. Come on, man. Let's talk about I talk about what is at the case right now, and it's a subject matter. How can we talk about you're gonna make an offensive statement? You're gonna make an offensive statement. Not let you call back in, Lozy, but you're gonna make an offensive statement that South Africans live better than the majority of or all of the continent of Africa, besides maybe Namibia and Botswana. And you haven't been to these other countries. How can you make a statement like that? We come on now, and you haven't traveled. That means I got 15 countries over you, or because you only been to 2, South Africa and Angola. So I've been to 13 African countries more than you, and you make a statement like, we got to stop this. We got to stop making this. That's why I'm doing a show right here and sharing about, hey, what about the people in South Africa? What do they got to say? What's their opinion? That's why I open this panel up only to South Africans, because I don't want to hear from other people and exclude those who's been on this ground, lived through, been through, family members been through, and to hear what it is for them about their country. You can say whatever you want to about this country and all that right there. So let's bring Lozy back in. I put him on pause, you know what I'm saying? Now, Lozy, are you back, brother? Lozy, are you there?
I'm here, brother. I'm here. Can you
Okay,
hear me?
I can
Okay.
hear you.
Go Black South Africa. I do respect you, brother, but I think
Yeah.
we need to be honest as Africans. I respect you are an African brother like me, but I think I need to be honest with you, and you don't need to cut me off because I don't believe you've got an agenda. I think you've got the best heart. You do love South Africans. I'm a Black South African, and you're speaking to one. Now, I want to educate you about our economy so that you understand. So give me a chance to explain. That's all I'm asking.
From your perspective, Please
Not my
share, yes.
perspective, but facts. You can do research. You can research what I'm about to say.
Okay, 3 minutes you got. Go ahead, lay it on me.
I want 5 minutes. I don't need 3 minutes. I want you to
All
give
right,
me a
Lil, I'm
fair
about to
chance.
cut you off, man. You can't control my channel, man.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
giving
Okay,
you
3
3
minutes.
minutes, bro.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Come on.
Okay.
Who is this guy?
All right. Okay. I said Black South Africans have got the largest living standard more than the rest of the black country on the continent. Any black nation you can think of. So I was telling you about the wealth. Yes, white South Africans are the richest group in South Africa. But here's the most important thing. They are the richest group in Africa, richer than any group in Africa. And the second richest group in Africa is Egyptians. And then the third richest group in Africa is Black South Africans. We control 30% of Johannesburg Stock Exchange, which is the largest shareholding on the continent. We control the largest investment portfolio on the continent as I speak. That's the reason why you don't find South Africans in Nigeria or Gambia or the rest of the countries you've been through. While you can find the same people you've been through, be it Senegal, be it Ethiopia, or wherever you've been through, you can find them in South Africa. The reason they are in South Africa is because they are chasing for the dreams, the good life, because our standards of living are higher than where they come from. And economics back up the numbers don't lie. If you look at Botswana and Namibia, their economy depends on South Africa. But the most critical thing is that they've got relative standards of living compared to us. We can use opinions to argue, but I'm using facts. Bottom of the line is this: Black Americans are the leading wealthy black nation on the continent in the world. The blacks in the Caribbean islands fall second, and Black South Africans are third, as we are the leading wealthy blacks on the continent, and Nigerians fall fourth after us. Now we can use opinions to back up your argument, but I guess since you've been in South Africa now, an average Black South African is living better than the countries you've been through, unless if you want to be dishonest with whatever you were about to say. Unless if you want to give me any black country in Africa that has got higher standards of living than us, name that country now.
What?
Before I finish my 3
looking,
minutes.
I'm looking, and I hate to do this because I'm not giving up. I like to do research, but just a quick glimpse of just bringing up who has the most middle. Which country has the highest middle class of Africa?
In Sahara. In Sahara.
No.
Yes.
I said in Africa. In Africa.
Oh, okay.
This is what I called up. It says Gabon has 75.27% of population belonging to the African income middle class. Gabon. I also asked the question, which I said I don't like to do this.
Gabon has a small population. Gabon is relatively has a large class by ratio. No,
then I
no, it's not an excuse. Numbers. I know what Gabon is per capita.
Okay, so I have to cut him off because that's not my type of my channel right here. This is your man, not your boy. My channel right here is not about arguing and fussing and fighting. He asked me to name. So I don't like to do this on the internet because the internet has a lot of switched up information. But a quick glance that I called up was he said they have the most Black Africans who live better than most of America. When I called up, what's the middle? Who got the most middle class? That means you living comfortable. They says Gabon here. Now I asked, what African country has the most rich Africans? And it's the top rich countries in Africa: Nigeria, Egypt, South Africa is number 3. Now there again, I like to do homework, and I like to check out more than just one source. Because I look up another source here, the worldpopulationreview.com. It says, which is the richest Black countries? Top 10 richest countries in Africa. Gabon. Now, he says Gabon is smaller. Of course, we know Gabon is smaller. But if you're going to go ahead and throw numbers or you're going to try to throw questions out, you got to be specific. Because then it's got Botswana, then it's got South Africa. But there again, that's neither here nor there. That's not my topic. So we're going to get back on the topic of how South Africans are, or how they perceive what I am saying by my experience and what I'm told about discrimination. And what are the solutions in place? And some people have been sharing that right there. And so for those right there, I'm gonna put the link in, and I'm going to play this video, the audio right here of a young brother here that that I interviewed, and let's just hear what he has to say. This is just another perspective. Everybody got their own experience. We had a person already today here that said he's never experienced discrimination. Can I argue against that on him? That's his perception. I can't make that to be, oh man, yes you have. You can. I'm not going to tell that man his life experience. That is him in his book, because I can find probably 10 other people who would swear up and down they've experienced discrimination. And we know apartheid and all that's going on right now today. There's discrimination, there's racism everywhere. Directly or indirectly, it happens. But let me run this little audio real quick. Let's see here. Even if you have a degree. Can y'all hear that? They don't recommend you. They rather take a white person. That's not gonna have matrix. So you can go to college, get a degree, and they will take a white person. For you to get there, it's gonna be a mission and a half. Mission and a half. That means what? It's gonna be hard to get. And so a white person don't have to have a degree, and they could be managers. They more advantages like us. They have more advantages. Yeah. I can report you a 21-year-old whilst I'm 30. Say that again? And I can report you a 21-year-old as my boss whilst I'm 30 and black. Meaning the white people, they can even not have the matric by going to school. Ask you to finish matric by 18, 19. After that, you go to the college or university for 4 years. Can't hear that. It's hard to hear. You get a 1% maybe 16 or 17, he or she will be your manager. 16 or 17 years old? Yeah. And you out of college could be 23, 20. Yeah, 25, 26, because we spend too long of time going to the school, universities. When you come back, 18, 19, 20. And they keep on saying, go to school. I know, it's too much noise. You go to school, you come back, your degrees looks at you. Yes, you spend so many years. You spend 4 years. And again, the catch is that you can go into a degree or a diploma for a certain job, for instance, travel and tourism. When you get to a company for a position, they will say experience. Ask yourself, I'm from college, where do I get experience? If you don't give me something. If you don't give me that experience. Give you the chance for the experience. Yeah. So but for a white person, I see more advantages because of the color of the skin. No school, nothing. Let me ask you this right here. The colored people, do they have more advantage than black Africans? In some places, yes. In some, because most of the colors, they are not like their life. They rely too much on the alcohol, drugs, colors. Mostly rely on. When it's good on us, they with us. When it's good on the whites, they with whites. So they pick and choose. They pick and choose. Today black, tomorrow white. Yeah. They can be like, you can be all inclusive. She can be a color. Okay, so there's a lot of there's the background. It would stop eventually. That went on for 15 minutes. I mean, and giving an earful of this is just a young man and a young lady's perception that they're saying the struggle is real, that they can go to college with he has, and it was so hard for him to find a job because they were saying you need experience. Now he's saying, how I'm going to have experience unless you give me the try. Then they were saying the fact that, a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, somebody young can be the manager over somebody who might be 30 years old, who has the experience and all that. So they're sharing what they are finding starting off in their road to a career or jobs or what have you. And yet they're feeling, this is what your youth are saying to me. I ain't put that in their head. This is what they're saying about the discrimination that is going on or racism. So let me bring back in somebody else right here. Oscar, are you from South Africa?
I am.
Do you live in South Africa?
Born and raised here.
You're born and raised. What part of South Africa are you?
the moment I'm in Pretoria.
Okay, what you got to add to this?
Okay, just forgive me for the delays, but I'll say that I lived in the USA for 13 years and came back 1994, been here ever since. I want to address some of the stereotypes that are being addressed towards quote unquote colored people. Everybody who's listening knows that the first people in South Africa were the Khoisan. And I acknowledge that they're all descendants who choose the colored identity. However, 1,000 years before there were Europeans, the Khoisan were here. That's the one point. The other point is that we are divided. And my view is that the neo-apartheid economy is only going to be constrained when South Africans overcome ethnic divisions and also unite with the other African states. It's very important. And in South Africa, there are many sinister movements that are deliberately trying to divide indigenous South African people from sisters in the other continents. So my final comment, brother, is welcome to South Africa and keep doing your good works. And that's all I have to say, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oscar. I appreciate you and all that right there. I mean, hey, there's brothers and sisters out there who know I got a love for South Africa. I don't understand where there's only one or two of them out there who claim that I hate South Africa. How can I hate my people? How does one hate his own people when I'm trying to get people from America in a bad situation, for those who think it's bad? Because there's people in America, Black Americans, who claim there ain't no racism, there is no prejudice. And like Oscar said, that there is a lot of division that's in America. Everybody's tied to these different groups, and these label themselves with titles and all these different segments that really tears down the effort of really for the majority of Black people to get up in the runnings with the Europeans, where that gap of wealth keeps getting further and further away, and we keep sinking further and further as people. Now, I could be one who can be on his high boat and sit here and say, I made it, and I've done for myself, and I've accomplished, which I do tell people, work your ass off and get where you can get. But when I see my counterparts or those who are of European descent who didn't work 3 jobs like I did for me to even get to a middle class, that all they had to do is have their mamas and daddies pass down the wealth to go ahead and buy their houses and buy their cars and put money in their banks. That right there is something that we need to talk about. When you see that even the education system, whether it is the job employment, because we have what I'm hearing from some of those who are reporting here in South Africa, that where are the Black faces there when it comes to CEOs, whether it comes into upper management, when it comes into, more jobs and stuff like that. This is what they're saying. I can't put that in that South African's mouth. This is what South Africans are saying. So let's move on to the next guest right here. Mike, are you South African?
No, I'm not South African, but I was just listening to what you guys were saying.
Tonight, Mike, is only for South Africans. This is their night, man, to speak. But I appreciate you.
Sorry. Yeah, but keep up. But anyways, keep up the good work. But also, what the policies.
So, go ahead. Our next guest, Everyday 13. You from South Africa?
Now, I just wanted to speak up real quick on this, and I'm going to be short and brief.
I
I'm from
can't let you
Philadelphia.
speak, brother. I can't, brother. This is for the
Okay,
South
I got you. I'll leave.
Africans. I appreciate you, though. Thank you. Yes, I'm giving the floor to the South Africans. Why? It's y'all's country that you're living in. We're all Africans, really, before just being called South Africans. That's one thing we really need to unite in. Let's tear down those borders that they have wound up putting out here and dividing us all. We know we come from different tribes, and we might have our own differences and cultures, but were we back then where we are today? Was the division as bad as it was. Now we know some stories that they have shown, and we know that they were, these tribal wars and maybe went on, and that's just the way things were. But we're gonna let the South Africans have their floor tonight. I think it's only respectful because of the fact that I can't let anybody else intrude on South Africans if they ain't South Africans. Am I right? As Pastor Gino would say. But anyway, let's move on. Fishy. Are you South African? Right, as Pastor Gino would say. But anyway, let's move on. Fishy. Okay, so we got to turn off our mics, y'all. You got to be on one source. We got to be on one source. If you calling in, you got to turn the volume down on the first one that you were on, so there is no background noise and all. Nluda, 90. Are you South African?
Yes, I am, brother. Am I audible?
What tribe are you?
I'm Zulu from KZN.
Okay,
from the capital of KZN.
How old are you?
I'm 32.
Okay. What you have for us tonight?
First, I'd just like to say welcome. I've been following you. I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times, but I'm one of those that really appreciate what you do across Africa. I saw what you did in Ethiopia, where you showed us that old Bible of like the Black Jesus with the Afro. That was very special for some of us.
Thank you.
In regards to your topic today, the discrimination, we are very aware of it. As Zulus, especially, we have come into combat with it. Last year, there were incidents where other races, I won't name them here, in the spirit of unity, where we had to galvanize and defend our homes and our less fortunate, because I'm doing pretty okay. I've got a couple properties, a couple cars. I'm doing okay for myself. But the vast majority are not. And people like myself share their pain. And we see that there's no upward mobility for most of the people that look like myself. And that is a systemic design that people like yourself have observed. So I think it's worth going into. I like what the other gentleman, the older one, had said as well, who had just left the chat room. There's a lot of people that would like for us to discuss how we are better. But if you are really looking at the landscape as it is, it's worth hearing what the outsider says. It doesn't mean we're stupid. It just means we like outside perspective, because we might find a solution that we haven't really thought about or that we haven't really realized was viable. So as a person myself who wishes my people to get back to their strength, and any revolution that will happen that will free the most of our population will not be a social media one, but it might start here. And so for that reason, I think this conversation is important. Thank you.
I thank you very much. Very well said, my young man. And my thing is that some people rather bury the old hatchet and move forward if there's no issues. But we do know that there are issues that exist around the world. And there is not one there's not no magic pill that anybody could take that will be able to resolve the issue. But can we not make things better? I'm just saying that by me traveling here, I've been hearing these conversations of discrimination. And then I had a couple of experiences tonight, as well as hearing some experience. I mean, I was blown by brothers saying that a white guy in the casino here in South Africa called a guy a monkey. And I'm like, what? That joker still we different there sometimes in different places, but I'm like, for real? And he's like, yes, it happened. And I could not believe it. And my thing is that, I understand from the apartheid, the history, but don't know it all totally. Nobody knows except for those who's lived through it that has that story. I can't speak on the subject matter of apartheid in South Africa. I can speak on the racism that is in America. But now here, though they might be the same, the same beast, but could be two different systems that are in place, because I know that there are more, there is a discriminatory case system that I'm being told that is here than you would find over in America. America wants to divide white and just black, and let those who come into the country, foreigners, to pick and choose which side. Now, you might check Oriental or what have you, but you can check white if you so choose. Black person can choose black, white if they so choose. Things are changing now. I'm saying today that in America, shoot, you know what? People need, brothers and sisters need to go in and do away with this whole system of, why are y'all asking what the color of the people are anyway? Shouldn't it be that if you are an American citizen or you're a non-American citizen, what does the color have to do with anything? But this is a dividing tool. It is a dividing tool to keep everybody in their perspective place. And by doing so, it causes dissension, it causes arguments, it causes wars, it causes uprisings. We need to tear down the labels of colors. We need to tear down the case systems. But then the thing of it is that, but those who have the power will then only focus on those who look like them. So now you have to have programs in place for people in order to make sure that people are not being overlooked. To me, resolution, because I like resolutions, I'm gonna say this right here for South Africa. I would love for South Africa to be, being that now everything's accepted, okay, you got white European suburbs out here. Why don't y'all got black? Why don't the government make and create black suburbs for the black Africans? The whites are always segregate themselves. They always will separate themselves. I'm not saying all, but I'm saying as a majority of people, no matter where you go around the globe, when you have a mix of race, it seems that those people of different cultures will go ahead and find their own places. When I'm frequenting inside of black businesses, own businesses and stuff, I don't see many Europeans and Chinamen and Lebanese and all them other people coming into the black businesses. But it's mighty funny, I see Africans going to their businesses. Isn't this true? But my main point here is because I had lived in America, in Africa, traveling all the 54 countries, meeting all my beautiful brothers and sisters, knowing that we all have been colonized, knowing that we all have an inoculated mindset, a mentality of what may have been pressed upon us. We speak in other languages that aren't even ours. We follow in some of the words, the religions that a lot of them have even given to us, and moving ourselves out of the tribal belief systems, or how we dress and how we act towards one another. We're losing our whole cultures and our whole ways. How do we now bring that back into perspective so you don't lose yourself? Because money's gonna make people funny. And as much as you give people money, they tend to go ahead and sell out and want to go the other way. It's just the nature of the beast. That's why I say, let's fight for the right kingdom, the Almighty. Because the Almighty, in my perspective, is really where it's at. Because once we come into like spirit, then we now are a people. Because color don't really mean nothing. As we say in America, every brother ain't a brother because of a skin color. Because we got people who will turn you in and turn their backs on you and rat you out just to be right there eating at the table of the others. Stewart, come on in. What's good with you? Where you South African?
Yeah, go black.
Where you living?
I'm South African. Born in area called Val Triangle, where there was Sharpeville shooting in the Val.
Where you live right now?
Yeah, I stay in Johannesburg.
Okay.
I can say I'm a product of, I'm a 41-year-old.
Okay.
I follow you. I follow lots of YouTubers as well from the US. I'm inclined about slave trade, Atlantic trade, people taken to the Caribbeans. Charleston in South Carolina as a port of entry for slaves to work in the plantations, in the sugar canes, the cotton, and all of that. So I sort of have a proper background of this our struggle. Just an overview. and also in South Africa as a South African who has completed his matric just 4 years. Yeah, 4 years. In 1994, when this country went to the polls, Nelson Mandela, I was just I completed in 99, so it was just 5 years. So I got into doing engineering, got into the system when reparation, restoration in a form of reconstruction, equity, black economic empowerment, this government has done. So I sort of like witness that, and coming from township, which you guys call it ghetto in the US, I'm a guy that was able to build something for his family. I have done engineering project in places like Mozambique on a gas pipeline with a South African company called Sasol. I don't have a lot of knowledge of our African countries. I've been to Europe 3 times or so. Been to Middle East, UAE. But I would like to just share, my experience. I mean, I was as a society.
You got 3 minutes, Stuart, to share your experience. Go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, I wanted to give you matured stuff, but I can't do it in 3 minutes, my brother. I saw you in Gold Reef City. I wish I can meet you live. I don't know how we can text each other, find each other. I saw you with your wife because I've seen him in some videos in Ghana. But I think also the audience that we're talking here, you'll get, because South Africa is a cocktail, and we also have our brothers from the neighboring countries. We also have the young people that are not aware on certain things. So you are not getting the gist. You are not getting proper what's name. There are those guys here. I mean, I don't want to say politically inclined. I mean, there's guys that are connected to the mayors here. We have certain groupings, but I'm sure that with the type of work that you have done, that I've witnessed, I'm following, you can get better to get the pulse of the nation. We have problems. And also our Oscar, a colored guy. I mean, I studied in a Lens Indian-based school, South Africa, with Groups Area Act, apartheid. It made, even in the township in Soweto, you had places like Sotho sections, Botladi, Bomulapo, you understand, Mletsani, and you also had Zulu dominated. You have Shawela, where there's a lot of Shangaan and vendors. My grandfather, he stays in Shawela Extension 3. As I grew up, there were vendors, Mavu and stuff like that. So I need to spend time with you. I don't know how can we connect. I don't know how to reach you, but you in South Africa, before you off, I would love to meet you. Yeah, just over a coffee or so. It will be a privilege.
Shoot me an email at goblack2africa@gmail.com.
Okay, I'm doing that. Thank you, Go Black.
All right,
Pleasure.
you have a good one. All right. This is a 2-hour show I wanted to do. I wanted to I didn't even get into some other things, but I wanted just to I'm in South Africa, and so my thing is that I want to start doing this thing when I'm in some certain countries. Let's hear from the locals. Let's hear some of their pains. But this was the number one thing that kept coming up. Everybody knows South Africa for apartheid. They got every museum, every type of tourism that is dealing and surrounded around the apartheid. So this is a constant reminder of how things were and what is the residue that still exists. Because my thing is, when I come here, people are beautiful. People got warm, they're welcoming. And my thing is, everywhere I go, I reach out to my brothers and sisters. Everywhere I go, I got that much love for everywhere I go. I don't hate on anybody. How would I say I hate my people when I got telling I'm trying to be that Marcus Garvey is like, go back to Africa. And there are many countries that are out here that you can find yourself to fit in at. There are people who will come from America and will come to South Africa and they find a good fit for themselves. Because like I said, some people ain't concerned about, whether it's discrimination or what have you. And there's people who feel as though that doesn't exist or it's based upon themselves. They can go out and create friends of all races of faces from all different places. They can go ahead and create their world and let be. So it ain't about the fact that, don't come to South Africa. Not at all. My thing is that South Africa, a beautiful country with beautiful people. And these are some of the conversations that go on that most Africans who might be coming down here should be aware of. Why? Because if we're leaving a country that is racism, and every South African can admit there is racism, well, you know what? You might be a little bit offended or sensitive when somebody call you a monkey, which happened, I was told yesterday at a casino here in South Africa. You might find yourself, because something like that, we lose our minds. And then what? You might be locked up in jail somewhere around here for whipping some white guy's butt because he called you a monkey, and who knows what comes out of that? Shouldn't we know about that? Shouldn't we be educated and brought awareness to at least know the good, the bad, the indifferent? This ain't about nothing negative about South Africa. It's having these conversations and letting the South Africans educate you, bringing their awareness of some of the stemming things that maybe they don't like. I had a person talk about the job industry, the school industry tonight, talking about, the relationships, the caste systems. These are things that we can consider. Because for me, I can't see myself, if I'm going to leave America to be now white and black, and then now I got all these other people that I'm in the caste system that we all blacks always fall at the bottom of a scale of something anyway when it comes to other people. But it's mighty amazing they rather be around us in our lands and in our places, and yet, we're at the bottom. Should I leave America if there's a caste system that I'm fifth down as the lowest of the lowest, and yet we're predominantly the majority? You see, I haven't faced racism in the majority of the African countries because they're all African. You find that the Europeans are somewhere, they're on the tourist traps on the beaches somewhere, and they ain't trying to get with the locals, and they stay in there. They're not trying to build communities, though there are some that have, of course, their businesses and stuff in certain countries and all that. But there is not a large majority, like our brother said here on the panel tonight, that they are here and they're here and there's a larger majority than the rest of Africa. Such is true. And in South Africa is a thriving city that's got a lot of modernizations and upscale high-rise buildings and apartments and businesses and corporations and companies that are all around here. Smells like, looks like, tastes like, touch like, just like America to me. But we do know there are people who are trying to leave America, trying to get a freedom away from some racism. And I don't experience that when it's 99.9% of the country that has us who are there in running things, though that there might be other outside influence of countries who still have their hands in the pot of a control, but still, I ain't been called a monkey from an African. And still, I haven't had somebody jump off don't get on the elevator because I'm black and they're white and they think that they ought to. I haven't experienced that. Today, and I come here and I experienced that. But what I'm saying is this right here. We all have our issues. And for me, you all, I've said this right here. It's our spirit that if you're right with the Most High, that gets us through. Because if we stand right on that, then we can remove ourselves out of this system. And the Almighty's always taken care of me. Ever since I was living my right life, the Almighty's taken care of me. And I was able to get myself out of poverty. I was able to get myself through racism. I was able to go ahead and make decisions and became a businessman and dictate and control my own destiny. And once I reached the sky is the limit, because that's what America says is the sky is the limit, I want to go further beyond the sky is the limit. Because that right there has a lot say so. Because the sky is the limit. Some can never reach the limit for whatever reasons that might be. Potholes in their past, obstacles right there within them. And yet we can't seem to get over or around or under because of the fact that there are systems in place for those who just get tired of trying to fight to deal with a system that is against them. And my thing is, let's then look upon other lands that you might have a better opportunity or chance. And some people are going to say South Africa is the place for me. I can find that. I wouldn't argue against that. If that's where it's your choice, you want to be, it's your life. You live it. But I want to make sure that if I have a channel and where I'm traveling and people are leaning on my opinion, people are leaning on what I show in order for them to make a conscious decision of whether or not they want to come live or whether they want to come visit. I have the ultimate responsibility then to at least show what is on the ground by talking with the locals, talking to some of the expats or foreigners that live there, and giving them the opportunity to hear for themselves. Then they have to come to see for themselves. That's the responsibility that I have. Not to stay in the wealthy areas and just showing everything's glam and acting like this is just all it is. No, I'm getting down with the common man who is going to tell it straight and be able to show the two sides of life, the good and the bad, and even in the middle, the good and indifferent, where he's not filled with biases and differences to where he will slant a story, but just show that, yes, there are some that are like this and there are some that aren't. Racism do exist here. But then there again, there are the doors are open for those to come through who's trying to get through. They might have to force their way through. And yes, life ain't easy and life ain't fair, no matter where you go in life. But the door is open. Some got to squeeze through. Some can't even squeeze through. I thank each and every one of you all for coming in that's on the panel. My brothers out there, I didn't have one sister tonight to call in. And I like to say, before I close, I would like to have one sister, South African, who's here in the chat, if you can call in and share, how it is for a woman? What does a woman say? Because our women, that's one thing I love about Africa. Y'all acknowledge women. Paintings, look at behind me. Look behind me on the wall, where I'm staying. I've seen many of pictures of women, African women, of the contributions and the things that they do in Africa. The artists paint them, they're on sculptures, they're on statues. You don't find that in America. Who we got? Harriet Tubman from slavery. Who else we got? As a women, the link is in the chat, my ladies. I need at least one sister to call in and share from your perspective how it is for you as a woman, because I have women who reach out in emails and say, is it safe to be walking the streets at night here? Or is that country, do they respect women? Or does women, they got to remain silent? How is it here in South Africa for the women? Can one woman call in and at least let us know from her perspective? She ain't speaking for all women, but we can at least get a taste of maybe what our sisters have to say. So it's on you, sisters. I'm gonna give you a minute to call in, because my thing is that you're part of the Almighty's creation. And without you, who carry life into this world, wouldn't be any of us. Two sides of life, male and female. So I say all that to say right here, I appreciate each and every one of you that's come in, those right there who are outside of the country of South Africa. Come visit South Africa. It's a place that you got beautiful people around, and they got things here that you probably never experienced or seen before. Educate yourself. Don't be one that just reads off of the internet or listen what people say about a country. Come and find out for yourself. So I've been here only 4 days, and there's a lot of things when I leave after being here a month, I still won't be able to know it all. But at least I can say I talked to the people, I saw, I experienced what South Africa is about. So I guess, oh, we got somebody who's coming in. Oh, Fishy's back. I think this is Fishy. Can I hear you now? Hello.
Hi, can you hear me, Go Black?
I can hear you. Are you South African?
Yes, I am South African, born and bred here in South Africa.
Where part?
I am here in Clayville East. I'm just 15 minutes away from OR Tambo.
All right, sister. Educate us on your perspective of what South Africa is like for a lady, a woman, so we can gain some knowledge.
Okay, when it comes to women here in South Africa, we are just thriving at Go Black. We are getting there. Doors are starting to open bit by bit, because in each and every designation, you will find a woman. From being a businesswoman, we are, in short, we are actually having that freedom. Even though the financial part is still a little bit locked, but that's what we are fighting for every day. And to prove that things have changed, you can look at South Africa as it is now. Where I am staying, you couldn't even set your foot in this part of the area after 6 o'clock during the time of the apartheid. But after 1994, if you manage, it depends, because truly speaking, it doesn't matter whether we are all black, but we won't be equal in the same country. There will be those that are better than the others. Same applies to our education, which push us to a certain level so that you can be able to earn certain things in life. So that's why not all of us are staying in the township. We grew up in the township because that's where we were segregated to stay. But since things have changed, if you manage to move out, you can move out. Same applies to the whites. There are whites who are staying in the suburbs, but you find them in the slums. I don't know whether you have gone to that side of Johannesburg. There is a slum, which is the shacks. It's full of whites. So you find them everywhere. You will go during the week, if you go drive on our streets in town, you'll see whites begging on the streets. You'll see whites sitting and sleeping on the streets as hobos. But with us women, I don't want to lie, we are not there, but everything, Rome was not built in one day. South Africans' freedom is still young, it's only 28 years old. And most of the time, people will fight that no, there's no freedom in South Africa. They don't even own a land. A land issue, it goes a long way. Which part of land? Because in South Africa, it's not like in America. Where my house is, the earth, that it's part of the land. I own it. It's mine. And when I get out of my gate, 1 meter from the gate, I can do anything there. It's part of my land. The only land that the South Africans don't have at the moment, not to say we don't have, it's only 4%. It's the farm land, which is agricultural part. But the government is busy with it, and there are people already. If you can go to certain program, you'll see that there are a lot of African people, South Africans, that are becoming farmers. And why we don't take the route that was taken by our neighbor Zimbabwe to expel the people, the whites that are working, that are owning the farm. We need the transferal of the skills, because we don't have that skill. We never done agriculture at school. So how are we gonna learn to do agriculture if we just chase them away and take over those farms? That's going to be a problem for us. So we need the skill transferal. They are aware. That's why the government is still busy with the negotiation or either discussing the issue of the farmland. It's going to be done very soon. And with the South African to say they are delusional or they are defensive, South Africans are very outspoken. I don't want to lie. Other African brothers and sisters, they can see us as people who are arrogant or people who are always defensive. We are not. We are very outspoken. Same applies to the person who has been called a monkey. That person needs to be arrested right now. The person was supposed to go and open a case immediately. It's not something that we entertain here in South Africa. That's the real.
I hear you, sister. Well, I appreciate everything that you have said tonight. Thank you for calling in, because we needed the flavor of our sister to come in, put the icing on the cake. And so, yes, I think you're breaking.
The other thing, Go Black, there is this notion that the businesses that are here in South Africa, these beautiful malls, do you know that these malls, some of these malls are black owned? The only thing is that some of our brothers and sisters there outside, they don't have the full information. You may interview somebody and also find that that person is not 100% good up. In the township, we do. In Soweto, for instance, the Maponya Mall, it's black owned, even though he has passed away. The beautiful mall in Midrand, which is called Mall of Africa, it's owned by a black brother from Nigeria. So we've got companies here that are black owned, and they are even owned by other black African brothers and sisters from outside South Africa. South Africa, that's why it's called a rainbow nation, because it welcomes anybody. You can come and start your business here in South Africa. In other African countries right now, you can go there. They will give you certain rules and laws that you can't do this up until you have been staying here, or you can't own this up until you have been here for 20 years or 30 years. Not in South Africa. In South Africa, you can come buy your property. It belongs to you. From underground, which is the soil, the land itself, up to the top of the roof of your building. That's my 2 cents for today, and thanks for taking my call, Go Black.
All right. Hey, thank you, my sister. You have a beautiful night. And everybody else, I appreciate you for coming in, and that we as a people can have a conversation with some resolutions that people are saying. From what I'm hearing, there are resolutions that are in place. They may be moving slow, but there are things that are happening. Yes, not everybody may be happy, and yet there will be those who might not even be able to achieve. But apparently, by what I'm told, what you said here on the panel, that with a black government, things are slowly changing. Well, with that, family, hey, it's been great tonight. It's been great just hearing from our brothers and sisters here in the country of South Africa. I will be continuing on my journey to the Durban, the city Durban, as well as Cape Town, and going to go ahead and really get into hearing from the people there on the ground so that we can see how those things are. So with that, family, this is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa. Peace out to each and every one of you all.